I was doing.
All right, welcome everybody to episode 12 of The Boiling Point, the election preparedness. I have back with me Gavin Whitcomb Jr.
Good evening.
We are going to talk. We're going to talk about the debate first, and then we're going to get to what people maybe should expect, depending on who should win the election, Trump or Biden. And Gavin Jr. will take us more in depth on that. But we're going to start with the presidential debate, the second presidential debate. There were supposed to be three, but because of the coronavirus, and the president did get coronavirus, and then of course he was successful in fighting it off, as 99.9% of the public does.
Correct.
So, but the election was, I think, a much better, the debate was much better, I think, than the first one.
Absolutely.
The moderator was a little bit more down the middle in terms of asking the questions, and she certainly asked Joe Biden some questions I definitely didn't expect her to ask.
Absolutely.
And the whole silencing of the mic, which I believe did happen to President Trump 3 times, is what I counted. Where his mic was shut off while he was talking, or
then they turned it back on.
Yeah,
it was weird. It was like I think they realized that, hey, if we shut him off right here, we're gonna be obviously
I think they kind of did it like a
warning
to
shot,
him. Yeah. And then of course when that happened, he wrapped his sentence up pretty quickly so that he didn't get cut off again,
and efficiently too.
Yes.
Just so everyone knows, Donald Trump plays the drunk uncle very well. He actually can be very articulate when he wants to be.
Yes.
He's not a stupid person like they say. And one thing that I would encourage the media to do is question themselves, like, is he dumb and stupid, or is he an evil genius? You can't have both ways.
That's also true.
They need to come up with a
they do like to claim
consistent
both at
criticism.
Times. Yeah, they do like to claim both at times. As far as I heard, I think maybe Joe Biden may have been cut off once, but there was only one time where he was cut off, and he certainly got his fair share of some, got some words in while President Trump was trying to answer a question, more so than President Trump did in this
that
one.
happens in most debates.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. I think it worked against Joe Biden trying to get those in, because President Trump did not, get any of those the way he did in the first debate.
Right.
He was much more controlled in this debate. Biden seemed to be the one that was a lot more ranting, if that's the right word.
Jumping around questions,
Yeah.
not directly answering them. And if you go back to the town hall the other week, I mean, it was attack on Trump from the gate.
Yes.
President
Trump's town hall was also, he was basically under attack through most of
that's
his
what I was
town hall,
referring
exactly.
to.
Yeah.
Where Joe Biden's was all softball questions.
Yes.
It's been proven that they were people friendly to him.
Yep.
And they were asking these questions.
Yeah.
They weren't who they said they were. And President Trump's, some of the people asking him questions that were supposed to be his supporters, according to the town hall program, they've seen tweets from these very people from a couple months ago that said F Trump and all this stuff. So the whole thing was rigged. But I think he walked out of the town hall quite well also.
Yes, I think so too.
He held his own.
Yeah, man.
He didn't lose his temper.
He was certainly, no one can deny, well, maybe the other side can deny, but he was certainly under attack. I mean, that was a town hall that was set up to try and put him on the defensive, put him up against the ropes, and he just handled it. I think he handled it very well. And
all of these attacks have a lot to do with what we're going to discuss later on about what's called a color revolution. But back to the debate.
Yes.
The recent debate. I think President Trump did a lot of excellent maneuvering.
Absolutely.
In getting Joe to say and admit to things.
Absolutely. Oh man, he was all over him to try and admit things, and he wanted the moderator just ask him. You know, how many times did he say, just ask him about this?
Right.
And of course, the moderator did not, but he did a couple times, and Joe Biden actually took the bait once or twice.
Yeah.
When confronted by President Trump, saying that, of course, that he will get rid of the fossil fuel industry. It'll be a transition.
Transition.
Yeah. Well, of course, we're making fun of his stutter, which of course he absolutely does not have.
He
because
just started getting a stutter out of the blue.
Yeah,
and
in the last 6 years is when this stutter, manifested. So he certainly never had one as a child. So that's of course not a nonsense story. They're just
correct. It's just
they're just deflecting from his very possible, dementia.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him only because of that.
You have to wonder if he's even aware of what he's doing. Sometimes does he know he's running for president?
Yeah,
does he know what that entails? Actually,
he knows, and we know it with dementia. You have extreme moments of clarity, which is what people warned about the Trump campaign. People were saying, hey, just because he acts like a goon over here doesn't mean he won't hold his own in a debate.
In a debate, yes.
And I think one of the issues with the first debate was Donald's continuous attacks and interruptions actually kept Biden a little bit sharp.
Yep. I think so too, because I get why President Trump did that in the first debate, or at least I understand why he started it as a tactic. He wanted to try and get him off his game.
Right.
But I think once you realize in the first half an hour or so, once you realize that tactic's really not working,
it's time to
change it up. And I think if he would have changed it up, then we would have gotten a lot more. You would have seen a lot more of what Biden actually is really about in the first debate.
Right. And he used the same tactic with Hillary Clinton in their first debate. It was complete chaos, and then the next ones were more substantial.
Yeah.
He shook her up, made her...
it seemed like Joe Biden was expecting that in this one, too. He was expecting President Trump to be constantly at him. It seemed like Joe Biden was on the defensive almost right from the get-go.
And from the gate, Trump softly mentioned Joe's accumulation of wealth.
Yes,
but it was very soft.
Years of service.
Yeah, it was very soft. He wasn't going to bring up the emails or anything. He was just putting it out there, and then I don't know what Joe was thinking, bringing up Wall Street and back deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is the one that opened that door.
He literally opened the door and said, "Hit me in the kidney." I mean, basically, and then Trump saw the kidneys and just beat the crap out of his kidneys.
He was just hooking him there with those when he was talking about, because there's evidence against Joe Biden or at least his son, which by association,
it's not just by association.
There is some also evidence that says he also got money as well, in addition to his son. And of course, we all know from the Mueller report and the 3 years that the Democrats spent investigating Donald Trump that there was no collusion on his part. So he definitely opened that door for Trump to just go after him.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about the Hunter Biden hard drives, because the media isn't covering it. All they're doing is covering that there is a story. They're not actually covering the story itself. Yeah. And the only thing we're hearing about it in the mainstream media is from, the same people, Adam Schiff, and all these former intelligence people, not people actively in the intelligence community, but former people, former this, former that. Well, so what? They're former. They're not in there right now. They're saying it's just Russian propaganda. Well, the director of national intelligence, who is in charge of, his job is to make sure that all the intelligence community agencies, they talk. So we don't have another 9/11 where somebody knows something, a piece, and another person knows a piece, but they don't know the full picture or whatever is going on like that.
Yeah.
So his job is to make sure that there's collaboration between the agencies, so that we don't miss something. And he said just the other week, this is not a Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
This is not Russian disinformation. So, essentially what happened was last year, Hunter Biden dropped off a few devices with the repairman. One of them was a hard drive. He signed for it. One of the devices was able to be fixed right away. The other was scrapped, and the hard drive needed to be repaired over a period of time. He signed a contract saying that if he didn't come back for it in 90 days, didn't reclaim it in 90 days, then that, he abandoned it. It belongs to the repairman.
Yeah, the repairman, yep.
The repairman went over it, saw lots of things.
With everything going on in the news.
Yeah, he put some things together, and so he contacted the FBI. He made a few copies of this hard drive, sent it to different people, and and all you Bernie Sanders supporters should be really upset because the FBI has been sitting on this laptop since before the primaries. Okay, so once again, you guys got screwed by the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's 2 times now.
That's twice now. They could have come out with this and thrown an indictment, but they waited, and of course knocked Bernie out of the race, and they could have come out with, and that's their job, to investigate.
Yeah.
They're the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Whether true or false, they have to investigate. So anyway, all these, there's thousands of emails and texts on this hard drive, and there's been another laptop secured over in the Ukraine by some anti-corruption agencies over there, also owned by Hunter Biden. And what they've been able to decipher from these is that Hunter Biden got money to get people of foreign governments and foreign companies, some of them even Chinese communist government agents, so spies, to meet with the vice president, so pay for play type situation. Now, what does that mean for Joe? Well, nothing. It's unethical. But where it becomes treason and bribery is where he says, well, he's not actually holding the money. They're not transferring the money over to him. But the evidence in the laptops show that he indeed did get money from these people. It's just Hunter would hold it for him. So, and it was basically enriching the entire family. He's the big guy that's mentioned in the laptops. So, that's what Donald Trump was referring to.
When he was
talking about him being the big guy, he's the big guy. He's the big guy. So basically you have a guy running for president who is currently being investigated for bribery and treason.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, if that's something you're comfortable with.
Sure, go ahead, but vote in person.
Yes, anyway. Please vote in person. But yes, that's why we wanted to do this podcast before Election Day, to make sure that anybody who didn't know about the story could have access to it. There are a few other people that have the facts that are out there reporting them. Of course, none of them are in the mainstream media, so you're not going to find them there.
No, the mainstream media is pumped full of money by the Tides Foundation and Media Matters. And because I don't want this video to be censored, I want you to figure out on your own, do your own homework, and figure out who runs the Tides Foundation and who runs Media Matters. Anyhow.
Yes.
So the debate, Joe stupidly opened that up to Trump to just bring up the Hunter Biden issue, bring up his involvement in his using his political office to enrich himself his entire life.
Yep.
From Delaware all the way up.
Yep.
So
that was a big mistake from him.
And that was and Trump wasn't mean about it. He was
he opened the door and let him walk through. It
was
the same way with the fossil fuels too. He pushed him a couple times, and then Biden was like, "Yeah, we are."
Right. And there was something notable about that when he said about fracking.
Yeah.
Okay. And that people might not understand or know because they don't know much about industry with construction and oil and things of that nature with OSHA standards and situations like that. Okay. He kept saying, "I'm not against fracking. We're not, I'm not going to ban fracking. I'm not going to ban fracking." And then he admitted, well, not on federal land.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the problem is that's where most people want to get their licensing is through federal land. Like out in the West, some states, only 30% of the property is privately owned. The rest is federal land.
Yeah.
So essentially, one, you're saying you want to destroy the fracking industry with the natural gas, the clean.
Yeah.
I personally don't want natural gas in my house because I don't like it. But that's my choice. But it's a clean energy. It's renewable. It's not renewable, but it's better.
It's better than coal.
It's better than coal. If you're worried about the environment, natural gas is very clean.
Yes.
And the other thing he said was, well, we want to give them the tools to do it safely and, have the equipment to extract their emissions and stuff when they're doing this. What he means is putting a bunch of regulations on them to where they go bankrupt, where they can't do business.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm in the construction industry. We've had to deal with, the silica dust hazard. Okay. OSHA signed, put into their mandates that you had to capture or diminish silica dust output for your lungs in a massive way. Okay. For example, if you're using a track hoe and it's bringing up a bunch of dust, you got to spray water while you're digging with a track hoe.
Yeah.
And silica's in everything. It's in the soil. It's in the rocks. It's in concrete. It's all. So you're drilling a hole. You got to wear a mask for so long. Have vacuum attachments to your equipment and all that stuff. And so it was kind of a challenge for the construction industry to just shift like that so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because all the tools to do that were ready, easily purchased. I mean, not easily purchased like, they were cheap. I mean, just they were ready. They were already designed.
Yeah.
Now, as your cousin will tell you, and anybody that's done epoxy will tell you, we've been using that long before it was cool.
Yeah.
Because you have to. You can't have dust flying around all over the place. It, ruins the person's house.
Yeah.
So basically what he's talking about is, one, denying them licensing to do it on federal land.
Yeah.
Where no one lives. Denying them the right to do it the way that they've been doing it, and then they've been doing it in a very safe, clean way. And then putting extra regulations on them in order to bankrupt them.
Yes.
So that's the fracking industry that he wants to bankrupt them. And then at the very end, he admitted to wanting to destroy the
fossil fuel
industry. I mean,
well,
what are you going to drive? What are you going to drive? Electric cars. Okay.
Here's the problem with alternative fuels. Windmills aren't, for many different reasons. Both for wildlife, people laugh at that they kill birds, but it actually is true. It's true, actually. Also, I just found out, I haven't confirmed it yet, but maybe you know this already, but I understand windmills are not recyclable.
No, they are not.
So then they're being put in landfills. When they're being, if they're too damaged to be repaired or whatever.
And they're also full of lots of oil, and they tend to spill. So I find that incredibly ironic. And they spill, and it takes a lot of cleanup.
And the problem with solar, because I'm a fan of solar, I figure the sun is a renewable source, and solar is going to be something that we could probably look to in the future. The problem is that we don't possess the battery capacity to be able to sustain a city. That's the problem with solar. Is that and solar is great. I'm a big fan of solar, but at this point we don't have the battery capacity, a way to hold energy for a huge city. It works on individual houses, and there's been lots of programs and stuff for people to get solar into their houses, and if they have more energy than what they need, it even can be fed back into the grid, and then you can even make money off of it. But in terms of like a solar power plant being able to power a city, it just doesn't work at this point. We just don't have the battery capacity. We don't have the battery technology. And if you want to talk about, if you want to build enough batteries to do that, the lithium that it takes to make all those batteries, where do you think that comes from?
Well, it comes from the earth, and they have to strip and rape the earth like crazy, way more than you would to get
all these lithium batteries that everybody loves. Just know that what it takes to get lithium is way more than what it takes to get natural gas through fracking.
Absolutely. And they do fracking in a different way now. They don't go straight down, they go in a diagonal way. Yeah. To where it's safer for the planet.
Yeah.
And the whole climate alarmist issue, there's a guy named Michael Schellenberger. Okay, I just want to read, if I can, a moment, his Michael Schellenberger is a Time magazine hero of the environment, Green Book Award winner, and the founder and president of Environmental Progress. He is the author of the best-selling new book, Apocalypse Never, which has received strong praise from scientists and scholars including Harvard's Steven Pinker, MIT climate scientist Kerry Emanuel, and the former CEO and chief scientist of the Nature Conservancy. Now, this guy spent the last 30 years of his life fighting for the environment. He still does. He is by no means a conservative politically at all. He's not right-wing. He's left. And he's very environmentally conscious. He's been on boards of, Let me
see that so I can... I want to tell everybody how to spell his name so that way they can look him up themselves as well.
Okay.
It's important to do your own homework, everybody.
Yeah, do your own homework.
Don't take our word for it. You can look up stuff that we're giving you yourself, all right? And his name is Michael Schellenberger. Michael spelled the regular way. Schellenberger spelled Schellenberger. And you should look him up because he's got many awards and much praise from many scientists for this book that he's written.
And he's he believes that climate change is happening. He takes the science at face value, but he's recently come under attack. Even though he's absolutely loves the environment, he's fought for the environment his entire life. He spent a lot of time down in the Amazon and just fighting for the rainforest and championing these things, and he's been on so many boards, and he's really involved. His entire life is devoted to the environment, and he's under extreme attack right now because he wrote the book and Apocalypse Never, and he's written quite a few articles that you can find in Forbes magazine and other business magazines and science magazines. His problem is that climate alarmists, people that say we're going to die in 12 years, he's smart enough and intelligent enough and wise enough to see through that, to say, no, that's not what's going to happen. that's not even true, and you're politicizing something as a shakedown to push your political agenda, which is global Marxism. And he's pointed out, I watched an interview with him, and he pointed out that this new Green Deal, the Green New Deal, the Communist New Deal, whatever you want to call it, I call it the global Marxist New Deal, because that's what it is. You will cause massive poverty and death by trying to just stop everything.
Yeah.
That the best way to transition from fossil fuels to something more renewable, and I like fossil fuels, but if they come out with something better that I can afford, that everyone can afford, and we can transition to that, and it's better, well, duh, better's better, right? So we're not against that. It's just until...
Let's talk about that for a minute, because to transition off of oil, people think that the government is who needs to do it, and they should be in charge of transitioning. Let's go back 100 years, and let's talk about where we were at before gasoline, before oil. What did we use? We used whale oil.
Right.
And what got us off whale oil? The free market got us off whale oil.
Correct.
And because it was the discovery of oil, and it could be processed and refined and put into automobiles, and it was that got us off whale oil.
Yeah. In
not
fact,
the government.
It was the runoff from oil drilling that they discovered. Hey, this is flammable. We can use this in a combustion engine.
Yeah.
It was just the runoff from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Michael Schellenberger's whole point in the book. One, that you're damaging children by telling them that they're going to die. You're psychologically destroying people. You're causing poverty by ruining jobs, and which poverty leads to death.
Yep.
It does. But another thing he said is he saw that the answer for it is socialism, and he said, no, that's not it. The answer to this is not government mandates and socialistic approaches, or communist fascistic approaches to all these things. It's the free market enterprise is what's going to get us there. Encouraging entrepreneurs and the free spirit to say, hey, we can do something better. This would be cool. That's what'll cause. And he also points out that if you did everything that you're supposed to do and everybody did it, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't matter. And even if it did matter, until you can get China and India to stop destroying the world, well, then everything we do doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
it's only one. Yeah, we're only one country.
Yeah, we're only one country.
Yeah.
And so, and we're already doing an excellent job at that. Being clean without all these regulations. But what gets us from fossil fuels to something better and more efficient and even maybe more affordable for the average person, to where we can transition into that, what does that is not government mandates, not control of the people, but through inspiring entrepreneurs in a free market system.
Yep.
That's what does it, and that's what changes the world every single time.
Yes, every time it has changed.
Yeah.
Every time it has changed, it's been the free market.
I mean, the Soviets, they created the Kalashnikov. I'm a fan, whatever. But...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ideologies like that, they destroy. And so, I mean, there's a few exceptions, like,
Think about if the government invented the internet. You'd have what China has.
Exactly.
So that's what the difference is there, people. The government create something, and they're going to put all kinds of restrictions and mandates and regulation in it. The free market invents something, and it's open to the people.
So, I mean, my son was very upset the other day. He came home. His science teacher gave him a questionnaire, which was very intrusive, about basically tallying his carbon footprint, asking him foods he eats, how much meat he eats, how many, like his clothes, are they secondhand? Are they repaired? Does he buy new clothes? Things that are none of their damn business. And I'm sorry, but
that's interesting.
Their job is to educate, not to data mine.
Yeah.
For
that's quite interesting that he.
For the United Nations, you don't need to data mine off of my child.
Yeah.
And the other thing was that, and I looked at it on his computer, and yes, there will be a response from the Whitcomb household, and it's going to be, I'm going to use this guy's stuff because this guy's a liberal. He's a leftist, but he can think. He's not an idiot.
Yes.
So I encourage all you leftists to start thinking. Think like this guy.
Speaking of another guy that who knows how to think, Elon Musk, the guy who created the electric vehicle that's going to save us all. Where did he just move to? Where did he just move? He just moved to Texas. And why did he just move to Texas? And why did he just move his car plants to Texas?
Freedom.
Yeah, because of the tax rate. Because he wasn't going to pay 60% taxes.
Yeah, and he saw the COVID restrictions. Remember, he fought them. He said, I'll be down there assemble on.
Putting all these charging stations in and doing everything, and Elon Musk said, see ya. So
no, I don't like his idea of putting chips in people's brains. I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
But you don't have to like everything about people.
No, but that's just the point. Elon Musk, the guy who, everybody hangs their hat on him, the electric vehicle is going to save us all. Plus, he also owns SpaceX, which is a very impressive company. They just went to the International Space Station. Very impressive technology that they have. And he just left California.
Yep.
He just left the most liberal place on Earth and went to Texas, the most conservative place on Earth, because he didn't want to pay taxes.
So if you want to lose a lot of revenue in your state, just raise the tax rates. Yeah. And that's why Donald Trump's tax plan that lowers rates for everybody. Okay, that lowered tax, that's what Biden's going to repeal the first day he gets in office, whatever. You know, that tax break didn't just help corporations and wealthy people, it helped middle class and lower class.
Yep.
Lower working class. Helped everybody. So if you want to see your taxes go up,
no matter what class,
class you are, go ahead and vote for him. But I'm sorry, I went around in a circle.
That's all right. We were talking about the technology. We were just talking about the phone. That's when I went off on the tear about Elon Musk.
It was to do with
the oil and everything.
The Trump
that we're
tax
talking
plan.
Oh yeah.
See, the reason he promised that he would try and get as many businesses back from overseas over to here as he could. And he fulfilled that promise by lowering taxes. The reason people go to places like China and engage in slave labor and all that is because of taxes. They can avoid taxes. It doesn't cost them that much. Nike seems to care about it. They like enslaving children and having them make their shoes for them.
Wow.
Meanwhile,
questionable company anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they did choose Colin Kaepernick as their
spokesperson.
And then,
exactly. So you have they choose an anti-American guy who hates America because of its past with slavery, even though every single nation on the face of the earth has had slavery in its past. So we're anti-slavery here, but we're for slave labor over here with children. Okay, you're a bunch of hypocrites. Whatever.
Yep.
Stay out of my face. So I don't own anything Nike anymore.
He's not that good of an athlete. That's why he doesn't get a job with the NFL. It has nothing to do with his stance or him taking a knee. That has nothing to do with anything. That just made him a distraction. So you have a quarterback who's subpar skills creating a massive distraction for your team. That's why he was fired. That's why no team wants him. It's not because of any of the other political nonsense that the mainstream media would, or he himself would have you believe. That's not why.
And it certainly doesn't help. But the thing is, the tax break is to bring companies here and make new companies spring up. Because, hey, here's an example. Okay, say you have this really big promotion. Okay, and it's offered to you, but you look at how much money you make, and you're like, well, crap, I won't even be able to afford the taxes. So you don't take the promotion because you can't afford the taxes.
Yeah.
That's called suppressing success. It's called suppressing drive. When you penalize people for being successful,
Yep.
you cause people to no longer want to be successful, and eventually the system collapses.
Yep.
Everybody just sits around waiting for a handout, and there's nobody to, and you could take all the wealthiest people in the world, or at least in the United States. Say in the United States, you could take all the wealthiest people in the United States, take all 100% of their wealth away, and it will only fund the government programs that they're talking about for 8 months. So where are you going to get the rest of the money? Well, modern monetary theory. We'll just print it, because that makes it worth the same. No, it doesn't.
No.
If everybody started, if I had a goose that laid a golden egg, right, and then I mated that goose, and then every household in America had a goose that laid a golden egg, would gold be worth anything anymore?
No.
No, because it would no longer be rare. It would no longer mean anything. It would be commonplace.
Yep.
So, anyway, the debate.
Yeah, we got off there, but well, I think we pretty much covered most of the debate there, unless there's anything that you can think about specific. Oh, I have to say this though. My favorite part of the debate, which of course included no substance because I'm a typical American, but was Joe Biden when he said, "I don't know where this guy thinks he comes from," and then Trump just leaned into the microphone and said, "Queens." That was my favorite part of the debate right there.
Another good part was when because Biden kept deflecting, his own mistakes, and Trump wouldn't let him get away with it. He kept saying, "Well, you were there for 47 years. You were in the Oval Office with President Obama for 8 years. What did you did nothing. You did nothing. You did nothing." And he didn't. No. I mean, he did a lot.
Yeah, but not what
he said. He did a lot of evil,
but not
messed up, corrupt bullcrap.
Yeah.
But he didn't do anything to help anybody. And he certainly didn't do anything to help the black community.
And I like how now, after 49 years, but now, because he's going to be president, he'll be able to do something. Because the president has absolute supreme power.
Right. That's not how it works. It's not how it's supposed to work.
Yes.
That's called a dictatorship.
Even President Trump knows that.
That's why Trump can't get everything done that he wants to get done, because we have checks and balances.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Yes.
So, and then he says, and I noticed Biden kept wearing down as the night went on, and he just said,
he was checking his watch.
Yeah, he just said, as a Republican Congress. That's the truth. It was a Republican Congress. And then Trump quietly, calmly, like there were two buddies sitting in there and discussing over a drink what he did, what mistake he made. He said, "You got to talk him into it, Joe. Yep. Sometimes you just got to talk him into it." That's what I did.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I was laughing.
Democrats into it.
I was laughing so hard because the criminal justice reform is bipartisan. Yeah. You had to talk both sides of the aisle into it. And it was because of some of Biden's and other people of that era, some of their bills that they passed that we've seen some massive incarcerations, not just blacks, but everybody.
Yes.
But mainly focusing on black males.
Yeah.
Super predators. And that is a fact. He did say that. I don't understand why I can watch videos from back when I was a kid, and I remember some of the things he said.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, and because Dad always watched the news and the world news, and he'd watch, he'd watch these things, and
he did.
He called them super predators.
Yes, he did.
He's a segregationist.
That too.
What is wrong with you people?
Yeah, because he has all those things, or at least at one point in time he was. You can say that he's not those things now, but then you can't say the same things about Donald Trump. Right. A lot of things are Donald Trump about his past. So if you can't include their past, then you don't include their past. But if you can include their past, then you should
Then
take a
let's
look
deal
back.
with everyone's past.
Yeah, then you should go back and take a look at Biden's past, and you can look it up. All his entire service record is public record, so you can all go look it up. You can all go look up where he stands on everything. You can look at all his decisions.
If you can't give people a pass on their past, then you can't give anybody a pass on their past.
Exactly.
You can't. You just can't.
So, I'm for one of not judging Joe Biden on his past.
No.
I'm judging him on what he wants to do.
Right. I mean, if he made a mistake in the past, he made a mistake.
Yeah.
But don't tell me in a debate that you've been trying to undo that for years. Well, then get it done, buddy. Because if you know, it's kind of like when we went over and cleaned up ISIS. You know that our government funded and armed. Well, it was Donald Trump's obligation to go in there and clean them up.
Yeah, and
he did that pretty good.
And if you were wrong on immigration, then why haven't you introduced a bill? You've been in the House and the Senate for 49 years. Why haven't you? Why don't you have a bill? Why isn't there a Joe Biden immigration plan?
Correct.
So
there is one now. Apparently, I don't know.
Yeah, but he's running for president now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
where was it when he was a senator? That's what I'm saying. Senators, congressmen, representatives—they're empowered to introduce legislation to be voted on. That's who makes laws. You know what I mean? I mean, the president also can do it. The president can also introduce a law that can be approved by the House and Senate. But the congressmen and senators are also empowered to write law and to put it up for a vote. So
that's
hasn't he
literally
done it?
their job.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer when they don't do anything. Unless there's something that's wrong and they need to correct it.
Yeah.
I like when they're deadlocked. It's kind of nice and nothing happens and we're all okay. Unless it's a good thing that corrects a wrong or makes something better.
Yes, which President Trump has been out there selling on everything that he wants to change that does need changed, and he's out there selling people on it, congressmen and senators, and get them on board to vote for it.
Yeah.
That's what a president does.
So, his whole thing with that, it just... I want to ask you a question, what your opinion is.
Sure.
What do you think will happen? Okay, say Biden wins the presidency, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I personally don't believe they're going to stop investigating this corruption.
The FBI.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to stop. I think both sides are going to pursue it.
Yeah.
So when you're voting for Joe Biden, just know that you're actually voting for Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, yeah. And
because you have Nancy Pelosi trying to get this commission for the 25th Amendment, that's not for Trump.
Yeah.
That's not for Trump. That's
for
Biden.
Biden. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think too.
And then you have this October surprise, which we've been complaining about for months about his dirty dealings with China and the Ukraine. But then,
Yep.
then this is the smoking gun.
Yes.
So when you have this and his mental decline and Nancy Pelosi maneuvering in the House with the 25th Amendment trying to make it a commission to establish the president's fitness to run for office, I don't think that's for Trump. I think they're planning on...
you would be able to get that with President Trump at this point. No, but you certainly could get it with Joe Biden.
You could.
Yeah. See, my thought, that's what I initially thought. I initially thought that Joe Biden would win the election, get sworn in, immediately walk to the Oval Office, and resign.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be something to that effect.
But then I thought to myself, well, see, if he stays, Kamala Harris rules from the vice presidency, that gives her a potential 8 more years before she has to run for president then.
Right.
So I think you're right, though. I do think that they're getting it ready for Biden, and I think they're getting it ready for Biden in case he actually does start having cognitive decline at a very serious rate. Or,
and it's possible.
Or
that's what I think.
Or if he decides to stop going against the will of the family.
Right. And
the family, of course, I'm referring to as the Democratic Senior Party.
And then you'll have your radical socialist as your president.
Yes.
He's always been just a corrupt official. He's
with Pelosi.
He's not an ideologue.
Yeah.
He's just a corrupt guy who says whatever he has to say to get what he wants so he can enrich himself and He doesn't care who gets hurt, including his own son.
Yeah.
You know, putting a son that you have has severe drug and alcohol issues, putting him in that level of intense pressure with murderous thugs and you know, espionage and all that, putting him in that situation. You don't care about him. You care about yourself.
Yeah.
So he's diabolical, but he's not an ideologue. He doesn't have any ideology that drives him, just money and power. That's it. So, yeah, it's of my opinion. I don't have anything to prove this because it's in the future. It's of my opinion that might be in the works. That might be some kind of plan that if they do in fact win, that she'll be the president or somebody will, you know, somebody other than that. They won't want a puppet anymore. And then you get to the whole, see, we're tough on corruption, you know.
Yep. And then we get Kamala
we're
Harris
honest. You can trust us.
Yeah. And then we get Kamala Harris as president.
Right.
Which would be the end of our republic as we know it.
Yes. Well, either one. But yeah, definitely her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She's a very dangerous person in my opinion. I don't like a lot of what she has to say. And I didn't like her in the vice presidential debate.
Neither did anybody else.
No.
Neither did the black community. Hated her.
Yeah, she
because they know who she is.
Yeah.
I mean, the woman, as a prosecutor, held back vital evidence that would have saved a man's life from execution, and then waited till after he was executed to reveal it. Black Lives Matter? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not to her, they don't. They do to me, they do to you, they do to President Trump, but they don't to Black Lives Matter Inc., and they don't to Kamala Harris. Yes. And they certainly don't to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care about anything except, like you said, money and power.
And power, you know, and sniffing young girls.
Yes.
So, one thing I wanted to discuss, I want everybody to be ready for this. And my prayer is that God thwarts this and this doesn't happen.
Mine too.
Show of hands, who knows what a color revolution is? Joe, in one of the episodes, touched on some of this. He used different...
Wise Joe, yes.
Yeah, Wise Joe. He used different phrases and different time periods and different things. And this did, in fact, start in the 60s, this method of doing things.
Yeah.
He was right on the money on several points.
Yeah.
That'd have been cool if we could have had a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can at some point in a future date.
Definitely have to try and get you and Wise Joe on at the same time, yes.
Michael McFaul, was a U.S. ambassador to Russia under the Obama administration. He wrote something in 2005 called The 7 Pillars of a Color Revolution. Okay? And this is what the U.S. government uses and has been using for quite some time now to overturn regime changes without bombs and explosions and, a different method than Saddam Hussein. We saw it in the Arab Spring. That was us. We saw it in the Ukraine, Georgia, the country. They attempted it in Russia. Putin's not stupid. He put it down. The reason they're called color revolutions is they always have like a color, like the orange revolution or the red revolution or the blue, whatever they give it. But basically, these are the 7 pillars of a color revolution. And I just want to ask you guys if this sounds familiar. Number 1, step 1, you got to have a semi-autocratic leader. Okay, so Donald Trump is semi-autocratic. He's authoritative in that he won't be bullied and pushed around. He's not meek. Now, in his actions, what he does, he's not dictator.
No.
He's not a dictator at all. He's not fascistic at all. Letting the states run things. That's how it's supposed to go.
That is how it's supposed to go.
His federal purview remains his federal purview. He doesn't try and step out of the bounds when he does. His advisors let him know, hey, that's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Things like that. I mean, he wasn't a constitutional scholar. He was a businessman.
Yeah, but he follows the Constitution better than any president we've had in probably 5 or 6 presidents.
Yeah, well, definitely our lifetime.
Yes.
So, I would say even more than Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan did some things that I don't really care for. I mean, he was a good president, but, he did some things that were kind of iffy. So you got to have a semi-autocratic leader. And then he's got to be the second is make him unpopular, or he's the incumbent. He needs to go, and you need to plant that seed that he's unpopular. Well, we have that.
Yeah.
Everybody hates Trump.
According to
the
polls.
According to the polls.
Everybody hates Trump, but,
when we're talking about, like, from the beginning, the Russia investigation, boom, just constantly attacking his credentials.
Right from the get-go.
His character and everything, right from the gate. And they had planned on doing it beforehand.
Yeah.
This has been in the works for a long time. Okay, and I think they would have tried this with Hillary, personally. But anyway, united, organized opposition. So you have Hollywood, businesses, media, many members of the government coming out in opposition against him. You have grassroots organizations like Antifa and BLM, which are not grassroots.
No, absolutely they're not.
At all.
No.
They're meant to appear to be. So bottom up, top down, media cast seeds of doubt about his character, things like that. So that's step 3. Step 4, effective system to continue or to convince of early voter fraud. You got to do it early. So from the gate, the only reason he won was because of Russia.
Yep.
Russian collusion. Foreign powers are interfering with our, elections and things like that. So you start that idea right away and get the people thinking about that early on. Yeah, and then step 5, have a compliant media to push that narrative. Tell me one mainstream media outlet that is not, they're not even hiding their bias and hatred of him. And all they do is push the same narratives over and over again, delegitimize him any way they possibly can, to where he's not really the president, and this time he's going to do it again. He's going to cheat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is what we've done in other nations. And it's worked in other nations, Egypt, Tunisia, Syria. That's our work, and look how those places turned out. Not too great.
No.
They're always a disaster.
Yeah.
The goal that we were trying to achieve never works out. It always ends up in lots of people dead and some lunatic running the show anyway. It's worse than the lunatic beforehand.
Yep.
Or just complete chaos. Okay? So you have a compliant media, and then the opposition mobilizes in an organized, spontaneous way. What I mean by organized and spontaneous is it's organized but appears to be spontaneous.
Yes. That'll
be around Election Day. Okay? Now that coincides with the other things I shared with you and Joe, the documents I showed you about the Transition Integrity Project and what their plans are to do.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of spontaneous uprisings. Okay? And then the final...
Which kind of we already see these...
Right. We're seeing
outbreaks. We're seeing it already start a little bit right now.
Accelerate.
Yeah.
Come election. And none of this could happen. I hope it doesn't. But this is what their goal is. This is what their plan is.
Yeah.
And that's why they, the mail-in voting and all the fraud that's going on and all that, it just makes you... we might not know for weeks or months who the president is.
Yep.
The whole thing is to cause chaos, and nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows where they stand. Nobody knows what really happened. Complete chaos.
Yep.
No clear winner. Then it's everyone's buried in litigation.
There's probably already been enough mail-in voting at this point now where we're already going to be at that point regardless.
Right. It's like 40-some million people have already voted. So, okay, and then the final step is division in the military, police, and the government. So they'll split and then be in direct opposition with each other. And there will be bloodshed in the streets, at least rioting, which every time there's rioting, there's tends to be somebody hurt. So I want everybody to be aware of this. We who are conservatives, they want us to fight back. Now, by all means, do what you have to do to protect yourself and your loved ones in your home, and things like that. And
your property.
But I would caution anybody that thinks it's a good idea to just join the local militia. And if you don't know who they are, at that stage, you just need to pray, watch yourself, watch each other.
And your neighbors, if they are
just
of a similar mind.
Just look out for each other and things like that.
Yep.
We're not at that stage.
Not yet. Hopefully we won't get there, as you said, but...
And so that's what's coming. That's the what we mean by color revolution. We've done it in other countries, and now the globalists are doing it to us. So, and that's why you see everything you've seen now. I also encourage everyone to look up Event 201 from Agenda 2030, when that happened, what it's about. It was October 2019, and it was about wargaming on what the world would do in the event of the coronavirus. I think the Chinese government started tracking the virus around November 16th.
Yeah.
So, just saying,
yeah,
it's a little fishy.
Yes, it is.
So, and we know that someday America will fall because, we can't remain sovereign and the end times actually still happen.
Yeah.
All the nations have to fall under, the Antichrist, the man of sin.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. But my prayer for everyone in America and for my children is that
it doesn't happen.
The Lord gives us 4 more years of peace, and mercy that we don't deserve.
Yeah.
We certainly don't deserve it. We've replaced him with materialism and sex and selfishness, and we've sacrificed millions of his children on the altars of self-service and things of that nature. And I too, before I knew the Lord, I I served myself. I served my own desires, and it led me on a path of destruction. So, but the Lord showed me mercy. So I those of you who are of faith, I encourage you to pray for our nation, that one, there would be a revival, in the hearts of, our nation, and two, that God would show us mercy, because He's given us such a great blessing, an incredible blessing, and we're throwing it all away.
Yeah.
And destroying everything that we were set out to do.
Yeah.
The purpose that we were even put here, was to be a light upon the hill, a city on a hill for people to look to and say, that's what we want to be.
Yeah.
And we've blown it.
Yeah.
Big time. And the Christian community, for decades has been weak.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world, and we're not anymore in America. And, I asked someone a long time, I was like, why is the church like this? Why are we so, lackadaisical in our approach to, how we do things? Like, why aren't we more fired up? And she said, well, I think the problem with why the church isn't, thriving in America is because no one's trying to kill us yet. Well, that's changing. They hit our guts, and they want us dead. You know? I mean, did you see Keith Olbermann's statements the other day?
No, I didn't.
Oh, my goodness.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, look that up. He went on a big rant. He'd be purged and all this stuff.
He said purged?
Expunged.
Oh, expunged.
I don't, it was really bizarre.
Yeah.
It was like something you would hear coming from German propaganda in the 1930s. You know what I mean? Like, it was really weird. And he said that, he was saying the Donald Trumps of the world, the Amy Coney Barretts of the world, and they went on down the list, and basically said all of us.
Yeah.
His collaborators, supporters, and everything. And he said Mike Lee, so anybody, Ted Cruz, he mentioned all these people. Anybody who has a biblical worldview and is a conservative needs to be
expunged.
Convicted, he said, and removed from society.
Oh,
that's who you support. Someone that wants to remove someone of a different thought from society.
From American
I
society.
seem to remember hearing that coming from Germany. And you have the gall to call Donald Trump
racist.
A fascist.
Yeah. A racist, a fascist.
You don't even know what a fascist is. They are fascists.
Yeah.
They are fascists. So, that's what we're up against. We're up against what I believe a massive satanic attack.
My prayers are that all the people who are for Trump are just keeping their heads down. I think I probably said this on our last podcast, but that they're just kind of staying out of the way because of what's going on.
Right.
Trump supporters being targeted, and a lot of stuff happening. I've even heard of people who support Trump. They have their signs vandalized or their homes vandalized who have Trump signs out.
Yeah, I don't have bumper stickers, and one of the reasons I don't have bumper stickers and signs is because I don't feel like a bumper sticker is going to change somebody's mind.
Yeah.
But I don't want any damage or hostility put towards. And nowadays, I might like if somebody came to my house and said, I'm a pollster. Who are you voting for? I'd say, well, are you armed? Are you going to shoot me if I say Trump? Like, are you who you say you are, or are you a lunatic?
Yep.
I'm not answering that question.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sitting here with you talking on the internet, so everyone knows.
Yeah.
But like I'm talking like face to face with a pollster.
Someone coming up on your door. Yeah.
That's a little disturbing. I don't feel comfortable answering that question because I don't know what's going to happen next, and that's sad. That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
It's scary.
Very bad and scary. Yeah.
That people are afraid. To say who they're... And you call him the fascist?
Yeah.
You call him the fascist.
Yeah.
People are scared to admit
that they're
for Trump because they're afraid of getting their head bashed in or shot or their property damaged.
Yep.
And you're calling us fascists.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can take your commie butts and... If you win, enjoy it for a brief moment because it'll turn into something absolutely terrible that you won't like.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, man, that sucked. Why did I do that?
Yep. Well, assuming you're still alive to regret the decision.
Yeah. Right. So that's what we're looking at.
Yep.
That's what we're up against.
Very dangerous times.
They are dangerous times. That's why we need the Lord more now than ever.
We need the Lord. We need to keep President Trump in office for 4 more years, and during that time, we need a revival.
Yeah, and that's what I pray for. I pray for revival and mercy, and whatever that means, whatever that looks like, whatever God thinks is best, His will, not ours.
Yes.
If that means judgment will bring us to revival, then so be it, whatever it takes. But I pray for mercy. Please show us mercy, because I fear for my children,
Yeah.
My son shouldn't be scared to speak his opinion in class about something that's a debated issue.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's just a small potatoes compared to what actually happens as this type of system progresses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also want to encourage people to check what your kids are learning in school, especially when it comes to comprehensive sexual education. Find out what they're learning, what they're being taught. Start a dialogue with, the people in charge of the curriculums in your school. See if they're. I want you to do some research on the comprehensive sexual education. If I were to hand this material to somebody's kid on the street, and they looked at the parents would punch me in the face, call the cops.
Yeah.
But because an educator's doing it, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's sick. It's disgusting. They're sexualizing our children at a very young age.
That's never good.
No, and it's in 27 states. Also, make sure they're not teaching critical race theory.
Yeah.
Which is Marxism. It's also dangerous. It's not new. It's the belief that you're inherently racist in your DNA.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
yes.
you know who agrees with critical race theory?
Who's that?
Well, Richard Spencer of the alt-right, the true fascists. The KKK, they agree with that. They agree with that. In fact, the left and the white supremacists, they agree on so much.
Yeah.
Because they're the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Avoid identity politics. Avoid comprehensive sexual education, critical race theory. These are the things you need to look at, because what they're trying to do is groom the next generation and the next generation.
Which they've already been doing for generations, which is how we ended up in this situation in the first place.
They've been doing it for a very, very long time.
Yeah, we were just the lucky few who did not get indoctrinated in our school.
Correct. That's why you have 33-year-olds that think it's okay to run around and burn down a city because somebody's paying you to do something like that, and you're an anarchist. You don't want any laws, so you're going to burn it down. Okay.
Yep.
That's why. That's why we have what we have, and that's why we have corrupt politicians getting away with things.
Yep.
So another good show.
Yep, another good episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode or any of the other ones and you want to support us, I got all the links up in the description of this post, and you can also go to facebook.com/theboilingpointpodcast, and I also have all the links there for all kinds of gear, JDEDESIGNz shirts like the one I'm wearing. Also, we have a new the Boiling Point coffee mug available.
Yes.
So check that out and buy some stuff if you like the show.
And like and subscribe and
Absolutely.
Hit the notification bell.
Yes, hit the notification bell, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot with YouTube sometimes. So make sure you hit that notification. And until next time, we will have Gavin Jr. on again very soon. And not really sure who's going to be coming on the show next. So you'll just have to stay tuned. It'll be sometime next week. Until then, I hope you please vote in person on Election Day.
Vote in person. Don't add to the confusion. Vote in person.
Yes, and if you've already voted by mail, I'm so sorry your vote won't be counted.
Unless it's for Joe Biden.
Yes, unless it's for Joe Biden. But until next time, thanks for watching, and be safe out there.